Hi, I'm Tina McCord. I'm the program director at the Rebecca School. The Rebecca School opened to students in September of 2006. We are a school that works with children with neurodevelopmental delays in relating and communicating, which includes children with an autism spectrum diagnosis, but also children not with an autism spectrum diagnosis. At Rebecca School, we really see the students as children first. We really think about their diagnosis second. We want them to feel respected. We want to respect their ideas, their communication, and we want to be able to support them to be able to communicate those ideas in any way that they can. The other thing that we really do differently here from other programs is we do a lot of family support. All of the families are assigned social workers. We work on creating relationships between the students, between the families. We have family support groups, parent education groups, family training groups. We see the families as partners in this educational process.
So here at the Rebecca School, we follow the DIR floor time model. DIR stands for Developmental Individual Differences Relationship-Based Model. What that basically means is that we meet the child where they are developmentally. So not based on chronological age, but more developmentally. We figure out where their developmental holes are. We use their individual differences, the I, to support them, to figure out what their sensory processing is, what their motor planning is, what their visual spatial thinking is, their communication. Are they better at hearing and understanding language? Are they better at speaking language? We compile all that information and we use the relationship then to guide our methodologies. So a TA in a classroom who works with a student every day is going to have a different relationship than myself or a related service provider. But we tailor that relationship to meet the child's needs based on their individual differences in the development. So it all works together and comes full circle. And that's how we base our methodology and how we support the students in our classrooms.
The most wonderful thing about being part of the mental health department at Rebecca School is our strengths-based approach. And this is possible because of our DIR model. This model allows our therapeutic intervention to be grounded in strengths-based, holistic intervention, so that when we work with a student, we never lose sight of the developmental potential. And so this allows us to approach all of our therapy sessions with respect and dignity for all of our students, regardless of their capacity. Our department is wonderful also in that we are diverse. We have social workers, psychologists, music therapists, and art therapists. And what we do is when a student comes to the school and they have a counseling mandate, we carefully assess for the modality that we feel will allow the student to be most present and access that therapeutic service. So our strength also lies in how adaptive we are as a department and our use of this DIR methodology to help our students reach their social and emotional goals.
So the Rebecca School is a program for students with neurodevelopmental differences. Many of our students have autism spectrum disorder. And what's really special about our school is that we really celebrate kids' specific talents and interests, and we make that really at the core of the curriculum. So we really center the things that interest them and make them passionate and really, light them up, and that's really at the core, that is a core value of our curriculum. As an educator, one of our passions is really to think about how do we help kids really to think, communicate, and relate with one another. And so our curriculum and our programs in the classroom are really designed around fostering kids' engagement, fostering their critical thinking, and helping them to form relationships with adults and peers. I think something that makes us really unique at the Rebecca School is how collaborative our programming is. So oftentimes when you walk into classrooms, it can be difficult to see who's the head teacher, who's the occupational therapist, who's a TA, and that's the way that we really would love it to be, because from our perspective, we really want kids to have an integrated program throughout their day. So for us, it's not, the goal isn't that they get pulled out and then have this fantastic sensory support and they get put back in the classroom where they then might become dysregulated again. It's really about how do we help kids to achieve their most optimal state of learning and engagement throughout the day. And so collaboration across disciplines and collaboration with families is really a key focal point of our program.
So physical therapy and floor time. To start, let me talk a little bit about physical therapy here at Rebecca School. A lot of us go to physical therapy because we've had an injury or an overuse of something and we need to get some kind of function back. However, our kids don't experience that in the same way. A lot of times they miss developmental milestones and don't have the motor skills to lose them. So our job is to try to help them gain those motor milestones and motor skills. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about physical therapy at Rebecca School. So you or I might have gone to physical therapy because we got hurt, maybe we played a sport, there was an overuse injury, some kind of level of function we had and are now missing. So we go to physical therapy to rehab it, get that level of function back. However, our kids don't necessarily have all of their gross motor skills yet, and so our job is to try to get them to obtain those gross motor milestones and skills. So whether that's walking, crawling, jumping, running, any kind of ball play, that's our responsibility. And so here at Rebecca School, we integrate that with floor time. So we try to follow a child's lead. We have to be more motivating than anything else in the room to try to get them to do these things that are pretty hard and pretty sophisticated. So one of the things we might do is if we want the kid to scooter board to help work on their leg or arm strength, we might ask them, so we're going to scooter board, do you want to scooter board on your belly or your bottom? And that's the way we kind of integrate floor time into physical therapy. We'll do a lot of anticipation to try to woo them into our world, because a lot of times gross motor, if a kid gets physical therapy, it's not necessarily easy for them. So you or I, if something's not easy for us, we might not want to do it. And so it's even more of our responsibility to be motivating, try to meet those goals and meet those milestones through play.
The Speech and Language Therapy Department at Rebecca School works developmentally with all of our students. And what that means is, just as in the DIR and floor time model, we believe everybody goes through these functional, emotional, developmental capacities. Similarly, in language development, there are certain milestones that individuals must reach before they can reach higher milestones. So as a department, we work really hard to build a strong foundational base in communication with a strong focus on shared attention, reciprocity, joyful affect and communication, gestures, and making sure that our students are joyfully communicating with others and attuned to their communication partner. And with a strong focus on that, we're then able to build their comprehension and their ideation and their expressive language and communicative intent around other areas. We work on this around our students' passions and around things that are very emotionally meaningful to them. And we also work with them in individual sessions and in group sessions. whatever really gets them thinking and gets them motivated to be with others and to communicate with others. In addition to working on our students' language development, we also work on their feeding development. A lot of our students are picky eaters and they eat a really narrow repertoire of foods. And we as a department work developmentally with our students in this capacity as well to introduce them to new foods and help expand the repertoire of foods that they'll eat. We do this by creating an environment in which they feel safe, where they find the joy in a meal and joy in sitting around with other people, sharing an experience, sharing foods, and communicating around food.
Occupational therapists at Rebecca School work closely with the interdisciplinary team to understand each child's individual differences and to understand what their sensory profile might look like and how that impacts their ability to remain regulated and engaged and be available for learning in the classroom setting. So as occupational therapists, part of what we do here is create individualized sensory diets or sensory programs that we communicate and share with the interdisciplinary team and with the child's family so that the family and the members of the child's team or the student's team are able to engage with them and interact with them and have fun and play with them in a meaningful way that is supportive of the child's individual needs. We do most of this through play, and we try and think about how their sensory profiles support their growth up the developmental ladder. So we want to be able to support their individual differences while also challenging them to reach higher developmental capacities. An important part of the OT program is while we are with the students and while we are working with other staff members and understanding their sensory profiles is remembering the importance of being present and having joyful interactions.